70. Cylinder 1 is 70. Cylinder 2 is 30. Wow. I guess I'm just gonna check them all. Uh, 100 on cylinder 3. Zero. What? Wow, okay. So if you remember on the last video, or not the last video, but a few videos ago, I did an engine swap on a 2016, and cylinder number 4 was actually the one that had a hole in it. So this looks like the same case, about the same mileage. Coincidence? I don't know. Maybe lack of maintenance. This car does look like it doesn't have the proper maintenance. So I guess I'm gonna turn it one more time, but cylinder number 4, which is the last one on the side, is showing 0. Zero, exactly 0. So I mean, I guess that's settled. The engine's got to come out. Got 2 engines here. I don't know which one is better, so I'll decide that once I pull this one out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start yanking this engine out. Gonna drain the fluids and go from there. So I just went ahead and drained all the fluids: engine oil, transmission fluid, coolant, AC, and now it's go time. So let's yank this engine. So I was able to pull the engine out right before it got too dark last night. It took me about 2 hours to get it out. The biggest thing is like the bolts on the exhaust were rusted, and I had to cut some of them off. The ones that hold the cat to the engine right there, I had to cut one of them off. But the engine is now out. I have 2 engines here that I can try. I don't know if they run or not, but that's something I need to try, I guess. One of them is a full assembly that came out of a parts car. The other one we've had sitting around for a while, and it's got a broken timing chain cover right here where the mount goes. So I would have to swap it over from the other engine, from the original engine. And this is a full assembly. I just don't know if it's any good. What I'll try to do is maybe hook up the starter to like just a battery and check compression maybe in this one, because this one to me seems like it's more promising because it was in a car and the car was wrecked. So I'm assuming it drove, you know, it ran and stuff like that. I don't know. The transmission, however, is probably no good. The module was removed. I just put it back on just to keep it in place. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try both of them out and see which one I like better. But as of right now, might just go with this one since it's already assembled and see how it does. So let's get it checked out. Interesting thing about this engine that came out of a parts car, someone hot wired it, I guess. There's a wire that's not OEM going to the starter, and it was going inside the car and it had a push to start. So I don't know if it was just hot wired or maybe someone just wanted a button, so you turn the key on and then you push the button and it starts it. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. There's actually two wires running. Somehow it's tapped into the main wiring harness on the engine too. So I just removed the terminals off the starter, and I'm gonna try to jump it and see if it'll turn over. So I'm not able to jump the starter for some reason. There's 3 terminals on there and I tried jumping them either way and it's not turning over. Also on the engine that I just pulled out of this car, I broke the stud off the starter because it was rusted. This car's got a little bit of rust on it and all the bolts are sort of seized and stuff like that, so I just broke this starter terminal off right there. But I've decided that I'm just gonna take a chance and go with this bare engine. It's taken apart. I'm just gonna swap the covers around with the original engine. This one is exactly the same year. It's a 2013. The car's a 2013. The engine is a 2013, and this engine came out of 2011. And I'm not sure if that one runs. I know this one ran at some point. That one I don't know if it ran or not. We got the car that wasn't running, and transmission was partially taken apart, but I don't know. So I don't want to take a chance with that one. I think I'm just gonna try to use this one and just swap everything over and go from there. So let's start digging into the engines. So at this point I have everything connected to see if it'll run. I just gotta put the oil in and of course spill it everywhere. I've got a new filter, oil filter on there, and about 4.5 quarts of oil is going in. This is just to see if this engine runs, and then I'm gonna continue assembling if it does run. Fingers crossed it runs, because that was a lot of work. Really hope it runs. If it doesn't, then I have another one to try, but it just sucks not knowing if the engine is good or not. Okay, I guess let's cycle the key a couple times and see if it'll fire up. This is the first start attempt with the used engine. Got the key here. Fingers crossed. It's so hot today, it's crazy. And it's about to rain. Okay, cycle the key. Alright, 3, 2, 1. What's the problem? The starter doesn't engage. What is going on? That's so weird. Well, it helps if you connect all the connectors, I guess. I was getting no power to the engine at all. So, let me plug that in real quick. Okay, that connector wasn't plugged in. That should be getting power to the engine. Let's try again. 3, 2, 1. No way. I think this engine is not good. So it turns out my timing was off, because on these Focuses, the 2.0 engine, there's no keyway on the crank balancer, and so when I replaced the cover, the timing cover from another engine, I didn't set the timing right. And right now I'm not sure if it's set to 100% because I don't have a special tool. There's a 10mm bolt back here that you remove, and there's a special tool that screws in there. It's like a long bolt, and then once you have that in there, you line this hole up with that hole right there. And so I just sort of eyeballed it. I wouldn't say eyeball it, but it kind of makes sense to say it like that, because I just stuck a screwdriver in that hole and then lined this hole up with the other one, and now it starts and runs. Now I don't know if it runs perfect. I let it run for a minute or so because I still don't have the coolant, but I mean, it starts right up and it runs. I don't know if it's gonna clear up. I mean, I think it's running okay now. Earlier it was kind of like misfiring or something, but you know, our engine's been apart and stuff like that. It definitely still is misfiring. So the timing needs to be set, I guess, just right for it to run smooth. But at least I know this engine is good. I just need to time it properly over here. I'm gonna try to figure something out, because there's no way I can get a tool today, so I'm gonna try to maybe find a bolt that will fit in there and do it that way. But I guess if it's slightly off, it'll sort of misfire. So at least it runs. I mean, it runs pretty smooth over here. I don't know, maybe it'll clear up because I don't want to leave it running too long without coolant. It's running better now, so I don't know, maybe it's good. Maybe I should just assemble it and drive it and see what happens. So I ordered the tools on Amazon the other day and they finally came in for this 2014 Focus engine swap that I've been working on. And I'm pretty sure that the timing is off because, as you remember, I had to remove the timing cover and the sensor, and this is not keyed. So basically you can put it anywhere, and so it needs to be timed properly. So the tool is, there's a plug on the back of the engine here. It's going to be hard to see because of the axle. I already put the axle in, but it's a 10mm bolt that you remove from the back of the engine. And one of these, I'm not sure which one exactly because for some reason there's 3 of them. I don't know which one, but one of these will fit right in there. And so what you do is you put that in, you screw it in by hand, and then you start turning the bolt, and basically you turn it until it stops, and that'll be top dead center, meaning cylinder number 1 would be at the very top. And basically without the tool, I tried it, it just doesn't work because you can't get it exactly right. And also what I learned is the sensor, also had to swap it over from the other engine. It does move, so if you loosen the 2 bolts, it does go up and down. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to center, once I have it timed, I'll have to center the, I think it's tooth number 20 or something like that, with the sensor, and that way it's going to be 100% timed. And I believe the engine will run flawlessly, because I ran the engine, it was not running perfect, and then when I put the belt on, the auxiliary belt, it basically didn't want to start because of the timing being off. So let me try to time it and see what happens. Hoping for the best. I hope I don't have to pull this engine out. Don't like to do things twice, so let's get to work. Okay, so I think I did it right. It was the longest one out of these 3, so I was able to put that in by hand all the way and started turning the engine clockwise, and it stopped. They say not to turn it backwards, but I did a little bit, and so it comes to a dead stop. So that should be top dead center. And as you can see up there, I have the rod, so it just goes up and it stays up there. So cylinder number 1 supposedly is at the very top. If that's true, then my timing is way off, because this hole here is supposed to match with this bottom one, so it's way off. That is crazy. Unless I did something wrong. I'm gonna do more research before I kill this engine. So I just removed the bolt, and as you can see, that is how far off I was on timing. And I believe I know 100% sure, I know, sorry, can't even talk, 100% sure that the cylinder number 1 is at the very top right now. When I turned it, it stopped, so the tool stopped the crank from going further. So that is top dead center, and all I have to do now is turn this and line it up with that hole. I'm gonna find a little bolt that I can put in there through the hole and thread it, so it keeps it 100% in time while I tighten the bolt technically you're supposed to remove the starter and hold it with the flywheel to make sure that it doesn't break the tool, but I don't want to do all that. I'm just gonna use the impact and hope for the best. So let's do it. Okay, so what I did was I removed the pulley completely, and I counted from the gap, I counted 20 teeth and I marked it with a Sharpie. You can see it right there. So now I'm gonna line up the hole with the threaded hole on the timing cover, and all I did was take the bolt from the coil that I just removed, and it fits just right. So I'm gonna hand tighten that, and technically this right here is timed 100%. So now all I have to do is move this sensor exactly in the middle, like center the sensor with that tooth, which is about right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that first, and then tighten that bolt and try to start it. Before I do though, I gotta remove that tool because I could kill this engine if I don't. So wish me luck. You know, some people say you have to remove the axle, but you're actually able to get this tool in there. All you have to do is just push on the boot a little bit and it goes in. So it's possible with the axle in, just so you know. And so now I have the bolt tightened. Everything's in time here. Hopefully all I have to do now is plug the sensor back in. The other plug is for the AC compressor. I'm gonna install that last. I didn't want to put it on and it being in the way of this procedure here. So got the sensor, the crank sensor plugged in. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. This is just a magnet that I used to make sure that the cylinder is all the way up. And now I'm gonna turn the engine by hand to make sure that it does still do a full rotation. Okay, so it turns over easy. Oh, not that easy because I have the 3 other spark plugs in. So now I can put the 10mm cap bolt back in there and secure it, because I'm pretty sure that if I don't, the oil is gonna start spraying out if it does start and run. So just gonna tighten it real quick. It's got an O-ring, so it doesn't have to be like super tight, but just a little bit. So okay, now I'm gonna put the plug back in and try to see if it starts and runs. Okay, let's try it. Battery connected. Fingers crossed. The belt is still off. I'm gonna leave that for last. Let's go ahead and see if it'll start. Uh-oh. It's revving high. Wonder why. Okay, not sure what that means. It is running though. Oh, okay. From all the cranking probably I was doing when it was out of time, it probably flooded it or something. So the RPMs are super high right now, but it's running. So it was out of time, not by much, but every little bit counts, I guess. Not sure why it's revving like that. So just like that, the engine swap is complete. Engine replacement, I should say. It's not a swap, it's the same exact engine. 2.0 flex fuel. So it runs good. I filled up the AC, I assembled the front end, I gave it a nice wash, so it all looks clean. Everything's looking good. I got the wheels back on there, and at this point I'm just gonna lower the car, wash the exterior before it gets dark, and then take it on a test drive and see how it does. It runs good. AC is blowing cold. The temperature is good. Coolant level is good. It's at the maximum. Once I get it on level, I'm gonna check the oil one more time just to make sure that it's at the proper level. And that's it. Let me give it a quick wash and we'll go from there.